here's what he testified to. He said he met Ventura in 2008 and they were just friends. They started dating around 2011. He thought that they were having problems, Ventura and Combs, by 2011, that they weren't dating anymore. And Combs told Kid Cudi by phone in December 2011 that he wanted to talk to him because he understood there might be something going on with Diddy's girl and Kid Cudi. And so he said he left the hotel he was at with Ventura and went home to his house, Kid Cudi's house. And he found that there had been a break-in. Directly following the phone call, Kid Cudi returned home. Combs was not there, however, but he found his security cameras had been moved, gifts he bought for his family had been opened, and his dog was locked in the bathroom, which he testified was disturbing to him. After the break-in, Kid Cudi spent the holidays with Ventura's family and received a few texts from Combs, but the rapper was not interested in talking to him, citing that he believed Combs was responsible for the break-in, said Kid Cudi, noting that he filed a police report over it. So he was concerned, right? He definitely thought he was being harassed by Sean Diddy Combs over this blossoming relationship with Cassie Ventura. Then this was, December 2011. In 2011, January 2012, Kid Cudi said his dog watcher called him from his home to tell him his car was on fire.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, right? I mean, that last time we had that argument over space, next thing I knew, my Beamer was gone.
I don't know anything about it.
Looking at the photos, Kid Cudi explained, it looked, quote, like the top of my Porsche was cut open and that's where the Molotov cocktail was put in, causing further damage that could not be salvaged. Combs and Kid Cudi then met in person. Oh, look, this is the picture for the listening audience.
Oh, my God.
We're looking at his Porsche, which does not look like a Porsche. I don't even know what that is. I guess that's the top. Is that the soft top of his Porsche?
I can't tell if it's a hard top or not.
I have no idea, but it no longer looks like a car. Oh, that's the seat. Oh, look, that's like the seat that's been on fire.
That looks like a hard top. It looks like
that
shattered
looks like
glass.
a hard top that's been ripped open and I guess a Molotov cocktail dropped in. So this is the apex of the testimony here. He says, finally, he asked him for a meeting. He said, I figured I better talk to him. Things were escalating. And clearly this guy who is like kind of badass in his own right was afraid of Sean Combs because he didn't know what he was capable of. But to your point, or did he? He said Kid Cudi arrived to his meeting, who was with him, and Combs was alone. He said, quote, Combs was standing there staring out the window at this Soho house, staring out the window with his hands behind his back, like a Marvel supervillain. And the pair went on to discuss Kid Cudi's relationship with Ventura from start to finish, he testified. When Kid Cudi asked Combs about the damage to his car, Combs said, I don't know what you're talking about. Kid Cudi didn't believe him. They ran into each other years later, 2015, so 3 years later at a club. Combs pulled Kid Cudi aside, and Kid Cudi said Combs apologized to him. Kid Cudi added, he found peace with the situation after that. Kid Cudi did testify that Cassie Ventura told him there was physical abuse in her relationship with Combs, that he would sometimes hit and kick her, which bothered Kid Cudi, but he did not hear about any sexual abuse. But there it is, looking like a Marvel supervillain, which, by the way, there was no objection to, which I would have objected to had I been Sean's lawyer. But that image is now it's seared, right? Like,
oh, yeah.
With the hands behind the back, you can picture it.
Oh, yeah. And I actually would never have assumed that Combs was alone. He may have been standing alone, but I would assume he's got guys all over that room or like cameras all over that room. My other question, so first of all, I was talking to the Daily Mail reporter who's in that courtroom every day. And when the apology came up, I said, well, did Sean Combs offer to pay him back? No. Class does not exist with this guy on any level. No. You know, I'm sorry I blew up your car, but I'm not going to give you the money. Okay.
Right.
But, you know, the other thing is sort of like, the Kid Cudi stuff is just remarkable to me. Again, I can't believe this guy is testifying. I can't believe he's not afraid. And I can't believe that, like, Usher's name came in this week. I think there are many other people who are very worried about their names coming in. You know, I go back to this LeBron video that was a Zoom between him and Diddy. And Diddy's on the top panel and and LeBron's on the bottom, and LeBron is saying, "Ain't no party like a Diddy party," and they're all laughing. The amount of people who knew, and to your point, the last time we talked about it, like perhaps it's just normalized in that world, like. It's a sex party, it's a sex and drug party, and stuff gets crazy, and that's it. But I find it hard to believe, like the way Wendy Williams blanched, he just said, "Oh, I met your kid backstage." And she,
No, it would be terrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember interviewing Vladimir Putin, and it was getting tense between us, and he mentioned my children.
What?
Yeah. And I remember like, okay, I see what's happening here. I mean, this is what people do. It's like an implicit threat. It's just letting you know they're aware of what's important to you. And that's all. That's all it takes. You don't have to be more explicit than that. And it's one thing, LeBron, to know about sex parties. It's quite another to know about beatings, regular beatings, which are illegal. That is a sex party isn't necessarily illegal. It is technically if you hire sex workers and if you're allegedly trafficking the other participant. But there's no question that repeated beatings, that's a battery, it's an assault, it can be a lot more. And everybody in the Diddy circle looked the other way. And very few, if any, intervened to help her. They allowed it. Here's the next guy, George Kaplan, former assistant to Sean Diddy Combs. He, prior to testifying and without the jury present, invoked his Fifth Amendment.
Whoa.
He was like, I'm not saying anything because I will be incriminated. And the prosecution offered him an immunity deal, which he then took. The judge watched him sign it. And once you sign an immunity deal, you can no longer assert the Fifth Amendment. So he was forced to take the stand. The jury didn't know he had signed that. I think they thought he was just there voluntarily. And he testified about 3 instances where he witnessed violence from Sean Combs. Twice with Cassie Ventura in 2015 on Combs's private jet. And then another incident later in the year where he said he saw Ventura with visible injuries at one of Combs's homes. He testified to witnessing yet another round of violent behavior where he saw Combs throw a number of decorative or real, he wasn't sure which, green apples at another girlfriend. Hard, he said, like really trying to whip her with them. He was unsure if any of them actually hit the woman, but it wasn't for lack of trying. He said he was the guy during his period of employment where he had to go clean up the hotel rooms after Combs was in there. He was worried that hotel staff would try to sell content from his room to the magazines to try to make money. He gave notice he was leaving in September 15 and finally left in December of 2015, saying, quote, "The central reason that I left my job as Mr. Combs' assistant was that I was not comfortable or aligned with the physical behavior that had been going on that I had seen pieces of over the course of a couple of months." And then there's Mila Morales, former makeup artist for Combs and Ventura, who said when she first met Cassie was 16. She was so young. This is 3 years before she was introduced to Diddy. And she was doing her makeup regularly when she signed with Bad Boy Records, his label, in 2007. And she was like a younger sister to Maya. She witnessed after a party at Prince's house, Ventura and Morales, the makeup artist, went back to a hotel room. This is around Grammy weekend 2010. And Combs made his way to the room where Ventura was, closed the door behind him, and yelling and screaming ensued. Morales said when Combs stormed out, Ventura was distraught with a swollen eye, a busted lip, and knots on her head. The makeup artist took Ventura to her home where she stayed for a few days. Morales did not call the police because she feared Combs and she feared for her life. She had a doctor friend look at Ventura who said she needed to go to the emergency room. Ventura refused. The pair never spoke of the incident again. And there was testimony by another witness that she saw Combs try to hit Ventura with a cast iron skillet that she was making eggs in. And then he whipped I don't think I'm conflating my two. There's been so much evidence of abuse, but I think this is the one woman's testimony. He tried to whip a wooden hanger at her head. And then the next thing she knew, Cassie asked to see her. They had lunch together, and Cassie had $30,000 for her in a non-disclosure agreement and said, just, you're making too big a deal out of it. And the woman signed the NDA, and the friendship ended with Cassie because the woman just couldn't take the amount of abuse Cassie was getting, and now she'd been dragged into it. I mean, that's what people like. Look, people who just want to run cover for Diddy are focusing on the testimony that I've mentioned, that she has emails suggesting she wanted the freak-offs from time to time. She testified the lifestyle was important to her and she didn't want to leave it. And there was some strain of materialism in her. She, quote, played Kid Cudi and Diddy, which the defense is going to try to say, she's empowered. What victim who's feeling controlled would cheat on the abuser and be controlling another man? That's where but there is a tidal wave of evidence that he was abusing her. Everyone saw it over years. We've covered the whole gamut. This is 15 of this abuse, the 16 intercontinental issue, the 2011 and 2012 stuff, Kid Cudi, and it went on for years. And this clearly was not an empowered woman who felt comfortable dealing with him from any position of power.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I think one of the things we're coming to terms with as a culture, and we're really maturing in terms of understanding the nuances of victims of domestic violence, is that there is no perfect victim. There is no there is no perfect victim, and the level, the violence with which he assaulted her, going for the head so often. He was trying to disfigure her. He was trying to mar her beauty, and that video that we all saw of him kicking her in that hotel elevator bank / hallway. That to me is a woman who's been there so many times before. She went limp. She was like a possum. She went she shaped herself like a C to cover her internal organs. She was just going to take it as best as she could. I don't know if it becomes kidnapping once she's trying to leave. Okay, great.
It does. Him dragging her down the hall and putting her back in that hotel room is kidnapping right there.
Good. I thought so. And then you're not telling me that he's done this to her and there aren't a legion of women out there he's also done this to. Because guys like this don't do it to just one person. And that says to me, there are many women out there who are still far too afraid of Diddy to file a civil suit or to raise their hand and say, if you want me, prosecution, I'll testify, Well, think about one of the testimonials this week was from the agent who conducted the raid on his Miami home. 2 of his homes were raided. And of course, it was tons of baby oil and tons of lube. Don't forget the AR-15s.
Well, that's where I was going. And so the guns, he found parts of guns disassembled. He found a fully intact gun in his security shack. And the Diddy cross-examination was basically, you realize he's one of the most well-known figures in the world and people want to kill him. And yes, of course, he would have an armed security guard around him. But let's not pretend Diddy is not a violent man. For the record, he denies these charges. But he's a violent man. We saw that on that tape. That's why the fact that it is on tape and the jury has seen the level of depravity that this man has when it comes to treating a fellow human being, a woman who's half his size and half his weight and totally powerless to stop him, is so important. We don't have to wonder.
Right.
He did it.
Right.
We saw it. He started beating her shortly after they got together in 2007. That's what the proof has been. And all the way through this, the videotape that we watched is 2016. That's almost 10 years later. Who that's empowered? Who that has any sort of equality, never mind equal strength in the relationship, stays for 9 years of beatings. I don't think they actually broke up until 2018.
I mean, if you even just think about the humiliation that's involved and how regularly Sean Combs had been beating Cassie in front of other people, that he thought nothing of beating her in a public space. Those elevators could have opened at any time. When that security guard shows up on that new footage that we've just seen, and I was listening to you talk about, because I didn't realize this, and it was so enlightening. That's enough. So I'm like, okay, so a third party saw this, and what happened? What happened? Mm-hmm. And I believe it was the same security guy who was told, we don't do anything about this. Mm-hmm. And he took video on his own phone of the video because he kind of knew it would disappear.
He said he was going to show it to his wife, that he was going home on a Friday, and he wanted to show it to his wife. And it was a good thing, because by Monday when he got back to work, it was gone. The original was gone. This July, there is a global summit of BRICS nations in Rio de Janeiro. The bloc of emerging superpowers, including China, Russia, India, and Iran, are meeting with the goal of displacing the U.S. dollar as the global currency. They're calling this the Rio Reset. As BRICS nations push forward with their plans, some worry global demand for U.S. dollars will decrease, bringing down the value of the dollars in your savings. While this transition, if it happens, would not happen overnight, the Rio Reset could mark a pivotal moment. So learn if diversifying your savings into gold is right for you. Birch Gold Group can help you move your hard-earned savings into a tax-sheltered IRA in precious metals. Claim your free info kit on gold by texting MK to the number 989898. With an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold arm you with a free, no-obligation info kit on owning gold before July and the Rio Reset. Text MK to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.